He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Monday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us on a Monday evening that brought us back to the Miller Electric Center. OTAs. It was good to be back out there. It was good to see the entire team, or an overwhelming majority of the entire team, at these voluntary workouts. We'll be back out there next week. They're going to have OTAs for about the next 3 weeks or so. Then they will have their mandatory veteran minicamp, and then they will break towards the middle to latter stages of June, and they'll have about 5 weeks off before they return for training camp, and that'll kick off usually in the final week of July. We had the opportunity earlier today at the Miller Electric Center to catch up with new Jaguars safety Eric Murray. Really enjoyed the conversation with a guy that played for the enemy last year for the Houston Texans. He's now, of course, here with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'll ask him, what was it like to go against Jacksonville? What's it like now to be on Jacksonville? That dynamic of remaining in the AFC South. We'll talk Trevor Lawrence. We'll talk Travis Hunter. All points in between. So newest Jaguar safety Eric Murray joins us coming up here in less than 15 minutes. Also, guest lineup tonight, Rick Seratella of the NFL Draft Bible and All Access Football will stop by at about the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour as we'll talk about the Jaguar draft class and talk about OTAs, the offseason in review, kind of how Rick Seratella, a guy that's been covering the draft for over a quarter century, what did he think of the draft class? I can tell you off the top, he loved the Travis Hunter trade. Loved it. And Rick's a guy that doesn't sugarcoat a whole lot, man. If the Jaguars did something wrong, he'd let you know. He loves what the Jaguars did. So I think you'll enjoy that conversation as well. A lot of news going on at the University of Florida. On the basketball hardwood, we got the transfer portal coming to an end, but maybe the biggest piece of the transfer portal puzzle is on campus visiting right now. In Boogie Flan, Ruben Chinyelu is coming back. The Gators are going to visit the White House on Wednesday. There was some Gator recruiting news, and the Florida Gator baseball team wins 14 of their last 18 games in the conference to have unbelievable momentum heading into Hoover, Alabama tomorrow for the SEC baseball tournament. So we'll touch upon all of that with Graham Hall of 24/7, Swamp 247. That comes up later on in the 9 o'clock hour. Jacksonville, we're glad you're with us to kick off the week here on a Monday. Let's talk OTAs, because every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal? What is the big deal?
No big deal. It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
All right, so I'm going to let you hear from Liam Cohen in a moment as well. The head coach talked with us after practice today at the Miller Electric Center. Again, newest Jaguar safety Eric Murray comes up in less than 15 minutes. Some broad overview thoughts that I have. Now, this is important to remember, ladies and gentlemen of Jaguar Nation. It is May the 19th. We are 3.5 months away from games mattering. So take this for what it is, which was the first OTA practice in the month of May. There is a lot of team speed. All right, that is apparent. These guys are fast. When you have Brian Thomas Jr. out there, you have Travis Hunter out there, you have De'Ami Brown out there, you got Bichelle Tootin out there, Travis Etienne out there, Parker Washington. They are fast. Now, I don't know if they can catch the ball, because today they didn't do a great job of that, but they can sure run. So there is noticeable team speed on this roster. There were noticeable drops today. Look, it was not a good day for the wide receivers. I'm going to be frank with you. Denmark, you can remain Denmark, but I'm going to be frank. It was not a good day for the Jaguars when it comes to the wide receiver room as far as drops. It's one day. It's May 19th, but there were some drops out there. I will tell you this. De'Ami Brown is a guy that I already like. I liked him a lot when they signed him. I liked him even more when they made the trade for Travis Hunter, because you're going to have defenses focusing so much on Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter. I think that's going to open things up tremendously for a guy like De'Ami Brown. I thought Brown looked very, very good out there. He was the one receiver where I actually didn't notice a noticeable drop. He caught 2 really good passes, got the feet in on the sideline. I really like what I saw out of De'Ami Brown. Offensive line, there is competition with the big uglies, man. Whew, they are going to have to make some choices. I mean, when you got Walker Little and Anton Harrison and Robert Hainsey and Patrick McCarry and Ezra Cleveland, Wyatt Milam and Luke Fortner and Jonah Monheim and Cole Van Lanen and all these guys, Javon Foster. I mean, there is competition on the offensive line. Fred Johnson, Chuma Edoga. They're going to have to make some choices. I am really, really interested to see how the offensive line situation plays itself out. Let me let you hear from Liam Cohen. He met the media earlier today down at the Miller Electric Center, the Jaguar head coach. He talked about kind of what I just did. This is courtesy of our friends at Jaguars.com. First day was not great on the practice field today, but he did sense there was a lot of energy.
First day, putting it all together. It's not going to be as clean as you'd like it to be, as I kind of already alluded to. But what's cool is you do feel a little bit of an energy. You saw Travis make a couple plays when the ball went his way. You see the hands that he does present. I thought De'Ami Brown had a really nice day prior to kind of getting a little bit. I mean, he was feeling it. I mean, these guys, you could tell talking to them. Yeah, they were feeling the heat. They were feeling their legs a little bit. And ultimately, that's what this is all about, is trying to get those back underneath ourselves, getting better into football shape. You can run, you can do all these things all you want, but until you start going out there in football and doing it, it's a different feel.
It's so interesting talking to Liam Cohen, because the guy's been an offensive coordinator for years, right? He's just focused on the offensive side of the ball, but now he's a head coach, right? He's over everything. So Liam Cohen was asked today about some of the bad things the offense did, but with that, some of the good things his defense did.
They did some really good things today. I thought, just from a communication standpoint, punching the ball out, doing it in the right way, though, right? We had a couple guys just trying to be intentional about getting the ball out and getting their hands on the football, something that we're, actively trying to be intentional about this whole offseason. And I thought the defensive staff's done a great job of communicating that in the meeting settings, bringing it out to the practice field. I thought that they did a nice job kind of setting the line of scrimmage, playing with length on the D-line, and the ball was out. I mean, the ball was on the ground too many times for us offensively, but hey, on the flip side of it, that's the first time as a head coach you actually kind of have to be very neutral in those moments where I'm kind of ticked off that the ball is on the ground from an offensive standpoint. But ultimately, man, defense did a nice job of getting the ball out today for us.
The Thaws Jaguars head coach Liam Cohen. All right, Eric Murray comes up in less than 10 minutes. Final broad overview thought on today's practice. There were, in this sheet we get, the Jaguars PR staff does such a great job. John and Dylan and Emily and Amanda and all the great folks down there with the Jaguars PR staff. We get a roster sheet every practice. And, usually by the time you get to training camp, certainly into the regular season, you don't really need it because you know all the guys. Boy, I'm happy I had it today. There's 90 names listed on here. That's how many players are currently on the Jaguar roster, right? 90. Now, I might have missed one or two one way or the other, but I counted them up. How many guys of the 90 that are on this roster sheet were not here in August of 24 for training camp last year? I counted up 49. 49 of the 90 guys that were out there today were not here in August for training camp 2024. We're not members of the Jaguar organization. To say that this roster had some massive turnover would be an understatement. Of the 90 guys, over half were not here in August of 2024. So there are going to be some learning pains. It's obviously a brand new coaching staff as well. I think you got to be realistic, at least this time of year. Guys are feeling each other out. Guys are getting to know each other. Guys are meeting each other for the first time in the last couple of weeks. I mean, when there's this much turnover on a roster in the month of May, you're just looking to baby steps, man. So that's why I'm not taking anything I saw today with a huge thought, just a grain of salt. Was it a good day for the offense? No. Were there some nice individual moments for the offense? Yes. Good day for the defense? It was a better day for the defense than the offense, and a couple of nice individual moments as well. But something again to remember, 49 of the 90, by my count, the guys that participated in practice today were not here in August of 2024. So when you hear bad reports, at least in the month of May and June, or you're frustrated or whatever, just think about that. And think about the job Liam Cohen and this brand new coaching staff have to put all these new pieces into this Jaguar puzzle. As long as the puzzle is good by September, that's all we all should care about. If the puzzle is lacking in the month of May, I'm totally fine with that, and you should be fine with that as well. One of those new puzzle pieces is Eric Murray. Jaguar safety. I had the chance to catch up with Eric after OTA practice number 1 today down at the Miller Electric Center, and we'll play that conversation next on a Monday evening here in Northeast Florida with Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you. Jacksonville, we're glad you're with us. It's Hacker After Dark right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
The home of the home team you grew up with.
McCardell is the Thunder and the Thunder and Lightning combination, along with Jimmy Smith. Quite a duo.
1010XL.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Jason, I don't see how a new air conditioner is going to work out for me.
Well, you like air conditioning, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. But a new air conditioner could be expensive.
Well, not if you...
To save up the money, I probably have to give up my extra hot skim latte every morning. Now I fall asleep during a staff meeting, get volunteered for the summer picnic committee, and end up sitting in the dunk tank all afternoon getting water up my nose.
Okay, look at it this way. Put on these sunglasses. Whoa. Bueller Air and Plumbing puts in a new AC. We hook you up with affordable financing, and you stay cool and comfortable for just $149 a month. Cool?
Cool. I see it now.
Life can be hard on your budget. If you suffer through the heat because of a broken AC you could totally afford to replace, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
It's the perfect day. You're just driving along, listening to your favorite music, the windows down. There's a cool breeze. Life is good. But wait, hold on a second. You're not wearing a seatbelt? You'd better put that on before that... Uh-oh, too late. Cops everywhere are stepping up enforcement, so you'd better buckle up or you will get caught. Sorry to ruin your day. Click it or ticket.
Funded by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Skilled trade jobs are booming, so begin your high-pay, high-demand career today through the Northeast Florida Builders Association. Their apprenticeship program provides paid training in some of the most highly sought-after skilled trades. Get paid while you train, full-time, in carpentry, electrical, HVAC, or plumbing. Plus, earn a 10% raise every year, and the classes are 100% tuition-free. Start your new career today and apply this week at nefpaapprenticeship.org.
Are you thinking about a pool for your home? Blue Haven Pools is Jacksonville's largest pool builder. They've built pools for over 20,000 satisfied families since 2000. It's never been easier to design the perfect pool for your home, family, and budget. Call Blue Haven Pools today at 904-620-0090 to get a free in-home estimate for your in-ground pool, or visit bluehaven.com. Don't let another summer pass by without a pool. Join thousands of happy happy Jacksonville pool owners and a Blue Haven pool.
I'm Max Fink, and I'll bring you the Gator Report several times weekly to keep you connected to Gainesville.
The Gator Report, put together by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators, 1010XL.
Go, Gator! What two vegetables are combined in making succotash?
When you file a claim with Southern Oak Insurance, we schedule one of our trusted vendors to work directly with you, which means a faster claim resolution. Find out more at southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
In order to make succotash, you'll need dry corn and dry beans. Suffering succotash was made famous by Sylvester the Cat.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
North Florida is growing with lots of new families joining our community. If you're one of them making the move here, your next move should be a call to American Electrical to create the best home automation system, enhancing your living experience. There are many ways your life can be made easier through smart home technology, voice-activated systems, automated lighting, total house temperature control. With American Electrical, they've got everything you need to automate your home and make it your true oasis. Check out American-Electrical.com, powered by professionalism and raising the excellence bar.
Yo, E.T. here, and I need you to beat the heat this summer with cool escapes and non-stop fun in Clay County. Tackle indoor adventures head-on. Throw axes at Live by Axe or smash your stress away at Just Smash That. Then kick back with drinks, good food, and fandom vibes at Nakama Anime Bar or Leaderboard Arcade and Bar. Whether you're blowing off steam or just looking to chill, Clay County got your perfect indoor getaway. Find your cool at exploreclay.com. That's exploreclay.com.
You waited forever for your new fence. Then, strangers show up. Subcontractors rushing the job. Sent by the company you trusted. Frustrating, right? Superior Fence and Rail promises better. Their professionally trained builders deliver quality you can trust. No subcontractors, no shortcuts. Just the superior craftsmanship your home deserves.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, Superior Fence and Rail.com.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
We're in. I really like the people we have here now. I love the system. I love the staff. The players that we brought in along with the guys that were already here. I feel very confident in where we're going and the trajectory we're heading. Can't change the past, you know. Of course, I would love to have a little more success up until this point, to answer your question. Yeah, of course. But, you know, the reality is this is where we're at, and I love where we're at, and I got a lot of confidence in it, and we just got to keep putting the work in out here every day to prepare ourselves for the fall.
The thoughts of Jaguar quarterback Trevor Lawrence today, courtesy of Jaguars.com. That was after the OTA at the Miller Electric Center. Look, I mean, Trevor was asked. If you go back to his last year at Clemson, right? Now, he was asked about his NFL and the change in the NFL. 3 head coaches in 5 years, 3 coordinators in 5 years. But if, to me, you take the last year at Clemson, which is his last 6 years now of football, he said 4 head coaches and 4 offensive coordinators in 6 years. He's on his 3rd different center, right? He's got essentially all new wide receivers from what he had just 2 calendar years ago. There's been a lot of change. We talk about the turnover on the roster. We're thinking about the turnover in the mind of Trevor Lawrence. It's not exactly a great thing when you pay a guy $275 million to have a rotating door of head coaches and offensive coordinators and centers and wide receivers. I mean, that's tough for the quarterback. But Trevor has very, very rarely, if ever, complained publicly. He's done a terrific job at not doing that, which I commend him for, because I imagine there are a lot of guys that would, in the same situation, have voiced their frustration. But you can't do anything about the past. As Trevor said, it's all about the future. And the future now is Liam Cohen. And the future now is General Manager James Gladstone and Tony Baselli at EVP and the roster that they have built around him, including some really nice speed at the wide receiver position. A guy they brought in on the defensive side of the ball is certainly going to be one of the veteran leaders. And he hasn't been here but a couple of months, but it's clear as day that this guy is going to be a veteran presence for the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's Eric Murray. He has played a lot of years in the National Football League, spent time with Kansas City. Last year was in Houston, so he was with the enemy. He now comes over to the good side of the AFC South. After practice today at the Miller Electric Center, I had the opportunity to talk with newest Jaguar safety Eric Murray. Here's that conversation right now on Hacker After Dark. All right, the first Jaguar OTA in the books. We got newest Jaguar safety Eric Murray with us here on 1010XL. Eric, how we doing?
Doing great. How you doing?
We're good, man. Welcome to Jacksonville.
Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
What was it about the Jaguars? You obviously had a lot of opportunities in free agency. What led you to Duval?
I really just the security of my family. Just being able not to move too far. Get them in the right situation so I can give myself the confidence to go out there and get myself 100%. So.
New regime here with the new coaching staff. What do you like about Liam Cohen and the new defensive staff?
I just like the dialogue back and forth. It's a lot of dialogue, guys trying to get better, and it just helps build that relationship between the coach and the player, and ultimately, hopefully, that translates to wins.
Interesting. You come from one AFC South team to another. You competed against the Jaguars last year. Now you're playing for Jacksonville. Yeah. What is it about Trevor Lawrence and this offense that you like?
High completion rate. In the last few years, and it showed when he gets the ball out quick. He's a really effective guy, and now, with a new scheme, hopefully that translates into some downfield throws with all the speed we got on the outside now. So
you're going to be competing every day out here with Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, De'Ami Brown. What kind of challenge will that be for you guys? Get you ready, certainly, for the regular season.
Just keeping the top on the defense. I mean, with guys and burners like that, it's kind of hard, but it'll be good because it'll challenge your technique and give DBs that ball in the air technique that you need going into the season, and that's when you really can make big plays.
A couple of more for newest Jaguar safety Eric Murray. All right, Travis Hunter. Obviously, we know he's going to play on offense. We know he's going to play on defense. What have you seen out of the rookie from Colorado?
Just a real humble kid coming in. I mean, everything that you've ever seen him do over the last few years at Colorado, he is that. So, he's just in there working and getting acclimated.
Two new safeties as well, Caleb Ransaw, Rayon Lane. What kind of guidance are you giving these guys early on in their career?
Just to hit your spot. I think as a young rookie, everybody want to come in and make plays immediately. So it's like, if I can hit my spot and be consistent in hitting that spot, I'm going to be, give myself a chance to make more plays instead of just kind of doing what you're not coached to do.
You're such an established veteran in this league. You've been around so long, so many games. OTAs in the month of May. What do you try to accomplish most out here for the next month or so?
Just conditioning, getting comfortable with the scheme. So when you go into the summer, you kind of keep that momentum because, at the end of the season, you're kind of coming off a break. You've been down, had some downtime. So you're just ramping up. So you make sure when you hit that summer, you rolling, and it's all, conditioning and technique from that point.
As we begin to wrap up, Anthony Campanile, we see the videos of him. Seems like a pretty interesting guy. What's it been like in the meeting rooms with him?
Real fiery, real aggressive, passionate every day. And he just breathed that into the defense, and I think that's going to manifest itself, with the players on the field.
Final question. You look at a young team, relatively young team. You were brought in. Jordan Lewis is brought in. It's obvious you guys are going to be the two leaders in that secondary, kind of the veteran presence. Do you welcome that opportunity?
Yes, sir. Just to be counted upon in this league is always a unique opportunity, and I'm grateful for it. And just grateful to continue playing football, the thing, that I love to do most. So.
Let Jaguar fans know, what do you do when Eric Murray's not playing football?
I got 3 kids. I'm taking care of the kids, and I'm making coffee at home. And I got an espresso machine, so I'm in there hooking it up.
Cool to understand. I got a 6-year-old myself. Can we get a Duval from you?
No, I'm cool. I ain't worked on it yet. You're not going to catch me. You're not going to get me on the spot.
Eric, welcome to Jacksonville.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
There you go, Eric Murray. He said he'd give me one. He wants to wait till training camp and needs to work on it a little bit. I enjoyed that conversation. I mean, it's plain as day to me. And I'm hoping to talk with Jordan Lewis maybe next week or certainly down the road here in the offseason, that those two guys were brought in because the Jaguars secondary was, quite frankly, bad last year. Now, is Eric Murray and Jordan Lewis going to make the Pro Bowl or an All-Pro anytime soon? Probably not. But you know what they're also not going to do very often? They're not going to completely blow coverages. They're not going to have Tyreek Hill running behind them 80 yards for a touchdown. Now, Tyreek Hill might score, but he's not going to be wide open like he was on opening day last year. What has James Gladstone said time and time again? When you talk about safety, what is the key word? Safe. Well, the Jaguars were far from that last year. I think with a guy like Eric Murray, who has seen a ton of football in his time, is he the most athletic guy? Is he as fast now at 31 as he was at 25? No. But you know what Eric Murray is? He's safe. He's a guy that's not going to make the critical mistake at the critical time. And to me, that'll be something welcomed in that Jaguar secondary, because I got tired time and time and time again last year of seeing guys running absolutely wide open in the secondary, guys throwing their hands up at each other like, what are you doing? When you got guys like Eric Murray, who played with the Chiefs and the Texans, you got a guy like Jordan Lewis, who played 8 years with the Dallas Cowboys. You got guys that know how to compete in this league, and that is what the Jaguar secondary was sorely lacking. Now, Tyson Campbell, Jarian Jones, obviously Travis Hunter, a lot of young guys as well. We'll see how the other safety position works itself out. Darnell Savage, remember him? We haven't talked a lot about him. He's still here. Antonio Johnson, Dewey Wingard, Caleb Ransaw, Daniel Thomas. There's a lot of competition at safety, a lot of battles in that secondary. But rest assured, even though they're new to Jacksonville, to me, Jordan Lewis and a guy like Eric Murray are going to be counted on to be big veteran presence, big leaders on this Jaguar defense. Let's get one more from Trevor Lawrence. Speaking of young guys, chemistry, the whole works, I alluded to this a lot, and I wasn't breaking any news here. A lot of people alluded to this a lot. If you look at Brian Thomas Jr.'s numbers last year, a lot of it was in the last 5 or 6 games when Press Taylor and Doug Peterson made the novel idea to just start throwing him the football. But a lot of that came with Mac Jones, right? Because Trevor missed the last 6 games due to that dirty hit from Azeez Al-Shire. What about Trevor now getting back into it over the concussion, over the shoulder injury, and now trying to build up that chemistry again with Brian Thomas Jr.? He hasn't thrown a ball to Brian Thomas Jr. in a competitive football game since before Thanksgiving, right? It's been quite a long time. Trevor was asked about the chemistry and building that back with BTJ heading into the season.
Not a ton. Obviously, just getting back into throwing. I went for a solid 3.5+ months without throwing, just with the shoulder deal. And so starting to throw a little bit before OTAs and then working into it. I feel really good now. I feel like my arm's back in shape. I feel like I'm getting sharper and sharper every day. So I think it was more that than necessarily getting the chemistry back with BT. I felt like we were just starting to get that last season, and obviously went down and we weren't able to finish the year together. But just being able to watch him, even though I wasn't playing, being able to watch his one-on-one reps, the stuff we were doing with him last year and the situations he was put in and how he was able to adapt and play the slot and move outside and really take advantage of every matchup. I think that also gave me a ton of confidence in seeing, like, this is a guy where you can move him anywhere, you can do anything, and he's going to just find a way to get the ball because he's that good.
The thoughts of Jaguar quarterback Trevor Lawrence. Again, thank you to our friends at Jaguars.com for that. All right, we got a lot to do. More Jaguar talk coming up. Rick Seratella of the NFL Draft Bible, allaccessfootball.com. Rick's been covering the draft for a quarter century. He's one of my guys leading up to the draft, but I wanted to have Rick on to talk Travis Hunter, to talk Caleb Ransaw, to talk Wyatt Milam. By the way, Wyatt Milam, I forgot to mention this in the opening segment. I know a lot of my colleagues mentioned this last week at rookie minicamp as well. I don't know what this guy's going to look like when the pads come on, but I will tell you that is a man out there. All right. I mean, for a guy fresh out of college, normally when rookie offensive linemen come in, there is a noticeable difference between them and the vets. There's not a noticeable difference with Wyatt Milam. That guy is a man. I'll tell you what else. Fred Johnson's another guy. He is a big dude. I remember him from Florida, obviously. Fred Johnson started 6 games with the Philadelphia Eagles last year, got a Super Bowl ring with the Philadelphia Eagles last year. You look at adding guys like Milam, like Johnson, Chuma Edoga, Jonah Monheim, obviously Hainsey and Macari. 6 new offensive linemen that are all probably going to make the team, right? Of all those guys, I think all 6 make the 53. And then the question is, how many do you keep? Well, you're going to keep Anton Harrison. That's 7. You're going to keep Walker Little and Ezra Cleveland, you would think. More on that in a moment. That's 8 and 9. All right, and then you got Cole Van Lannon. You got Luke Fortner. You got Javon Foster. Dennis Daly's a guy that we're not going to talk about. That's a guy that started a lot of games for the Titans at offensive tackle a couple of years ago. So the Jaguars have options on the offensive line. One thought on Little and Cleveland. You're paying both of those guys pretty decent money. You are doing it, but you're doing it as a result of the previous administration. James Gladstone didn't agree to those contracts. Trent Baalke agreed to those contracts. So I'm just curious. And again, I don't know if this is going to happen, but it's just a thought. We were talking about this out there today. If Milam beats out Cleveland, well, then do you put Ezra Cleveland on the trade market and see if you can get something for him? I don't know what you could get. A 6th, 7th round pick, I don't know. But with what you're paying Cleveland, if he gets beat out by Milam, is that a guy you just want to put on the bench for depth? I mean, maybe it is. Same thing with Little. I think people thought Little was going to be the surefire left tackle. I would still bet on that, but I think there's going to be a competition there, particularly between he and Fred Johnson. Same thing with Little. With what you're paying him, do you see the trade value there, or are you comfortable putting a guy on the bench that's making that much money? Those will be interesting decisions for Liam Cohen and James Gladstone, depending on what happens with a few of those offensive line battles. Rick Seratella, the NFL Draft Bible, allaccessfootball.com. Rick has been one of my draft guys for years. Let's talk Travis Hunter, the rest of the draft class, and more, and let's do it next on a Monday night here in Jacksonville, Florida. We're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark till 10 o'clock right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
Some things just never get old.
Beautiful day for baseball.
Experience the most play-by-play sports on 1010XL.
Rick Ballou for Coy Dental. That's right, Carlson Dental is now Coy Dental. Dr. Lee has been practicing there for 9 years, has purchased the company. The Coy Dental team still has the same great dentists and staff. And remember, if you get nervous visiting a dentist, don't. There's never a problem at Coy Dental. With light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation for all your restorative needs. Coy Dental, 2 locations in Jacksonville.
Prosser here. Spring has sprung, and it's a great time to sell your house, but only if you have the very best on your side, and those very best are Chad and Sandy Newman. Spring selling season's here. Rates are down. Activity's up. It's the best time in years to sell your home, in fact, but there are homes sitting on the market. They don't have the right representation. That's where Chad and Sandy step in. Maybe you're worried your home needs repairs or updating and it won't sell for a good price. Maybe your family's growing and you need more space. Whatever the reason that you need to sell your home, Chad and Sandy deliver this promise to you. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Sounds pretty hassle-free to me. Take it from Mike and Rosemary in St. Augustine. We were determined to buy an affordable home in a specific school zone, but we didn't qualify for the loan needed to get one. Chad and Sandy's team worked with the lender, negotiated a higher qualification price, lower interest. It was huge, $200 less per month. Do it today. Call 414-6200 or go to chadandsandy.com.
With the first pick in the 2025 draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Duck Duck Rooter, the #1 plumbing, septic, and air conditioning contractor in Florida.
Congratulations, Duck Duck Rooter. So tell us, how does it feel to be picked #1?
Duck Duck Rooter is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When you need help with any plumbing, septic, or AC issue, just give us a call and relax. We'll send one of our first-round draft picks to tackle your problems today. DuckDuckRooter.com. That's DuckDuckRooter.com.
Hacker here, and let's talk sincerity. You know, there's a big difference between someone tossing you a casual, hey, how you doing, and genuinely asking, no, really, how are you doing? At Awaken 180, I felt that sincerity every single week while dropping 122 pounds, and I still feel it every month in free maintenance for life. Sure, seeing that number plunge on the scale was incredible, but what truly pushed me across the goal line? My amazing Awaken 180 coaches. They coached me up like I was prepping for draft day, always in my corner, sincerely invested in my success, and check this out. I'm going on a cruise in a couple of weeks, complete with formal night. Now, normally, cameras and I have a strained relationship. I hated taking pictures, but thanks to Awaken 180, the camera and I have made peace. No more ducking photos. Want results you can actually keep? Do what we all did and call 844-346-1800 or book online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Teach your birdies to sing with Dan, Jeff, and PGA pros on Brunch with the Tour. Teed up by Clearwater Irrigation and Apex Roofing and Contracting. Brunch provided by Chick-fil-A. 8:30 Tuesday morning on 1010XL.
Mia here for my friends at Closets by Design. It's been a few months since they built my custom closet. Even my family is obsessed. And with Father's Day right around the corner, why not surprise Dad with his own custom garage workspace? Tool storage, workbenches, the whole works. Closets by Design creates custom solutions for every space, lifestyle, and budget. That includes Dad's. Call to schedule your free in-home consultation and receive 40% off plus an additional 15% off. Visit closetsbydesign.com.
Denny Thompson here. If you haven't heard, Tyson Sound and Security has a house built right inside their showroom, showcasing complete home automation and security systems. You have to see it to believe it. This setup can recognize intruders who approach your door and alerts them to leave if there's a break-in. Keep your family safe with the most state-of-the-art technology. Tyson Sound and Security, your security, home theater, and home automation experts. New showroom at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming Island.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. Did you know that mosquito bites could lead to heartworm for your dog or cat? When mosquitoes show up, pet parents want them gone. Terminix takes mosquitoes down fast, just like they did at my house for our pup. Terminix knows that pets are part of the family. They do what it takes to help protect them. When mosquitoes show up, so does Terminix. Don't live with a mosquito problem, Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com.
I'm Stacy, and I want to tell you about my fogged up window fiasco at my house. I called up Mac at Baker Glass. He told me all I needed was a glass replacement. The process was so easy. All within a few days, they came out, measured, called me with an estimate, cut my glass, and came out to install the new ones. Now my view outside is fog-free thanks to Mac and his crew at Baker Glass. And my neighbors think I got some fancy new windows.
I'm Mac with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. OTAs for the Jacksonville Jaguars this week, as boy, this offseason continues turning right along. We got mandatory veteran minicamp a month from now, and can you believe training camp is just over 2 months away? Let's talk about Travis Hunter, the rest of the draft class, and kind of how this offseason went here in Jacksonville. My buddy Rick Seratella with the NFL Draft Bible and AllAccessFootball.com, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Rick, how we doing, man?
Hacker, what's happening, man? Always great with this NFL calendar. There's literally no off season. I love it.
Yeah, it's been wild, particularly here in Jacksonville, man. It's been maybe the craziest off season I can remember in a long, long time. All right, you and I spoke right up before the draft, and, you know, look, we talked about a lot of different people, a lot of different prospects. I don't know if I ever even asked you about Travis Hunter, because at that time, Rick, it wasn't a possibility at number 5, but then James Gladstone and Liam Cohen do what they do to trade up into Cleveland's spot to take the Heisman Trophy winner out of Colorado. What did you make first and foremost of the trade up to take Travis Hunter?
I loved it. I mean, James Gladstone was aggressive. I think that I saw mixed opinions out there in terms of whether or not they gave up too much. But I think that when you are trying to turn around a franchise, you've got to be bold. You've got to take risks. And I thought it was the best move of the entire NFL draft because we didn't get to talk about it, but Travis Hunter is the number one talent in this entire class. So if you were to say 10 years from now, 20 years from now, however many years from now, who's going to be that guy we're putting a yellow jacket on? If you were to pick one guy, give me the odds, Rick. Who's it going to be? It would be Travis Hunter, no doubt about it. I mean, this guy truly is a generational talent.
So you're very high on Travis Hunter. Let's talk about the player. It appears, Rick, that it's going to be primary offense. Now, I don't want to say that too much because there's certainly going to be a defensive aspect, which we'll get to in a moment. But how do you think Travis Hunter is going to coincide with a guy like Brian Thomas Jr. in this Jaguar passing game?
So I love the move. I love the player. However, I prefer him at cornerback. So I was a little bit, shall I say, shocked when they said we're going to go wide receiver first here because I felt like, you know, Travis Hunter always got by on natural athleticism, right? Get him the ball. He's elusive in space. Find him a way to just let him run and pick up yards. And that's all fine and dandy until you get to the NFL, because I always felt like Travis Hunter was a cornerback first and foremost due to the ball instincts and the ability to flip the hips, the footwork, the balls that bait the quarterback. I mean, this guy can jump routes like I've never seen before. And so when you look at some of these clips out there and they're saying, hey, well, what's going on with the route runner? He's not exactly a refined route runner. And I always had him projected as like a number 3 wide receiver coming into the league, because that's one of the first things in my scouting report was not a refined route runner. So like when you think about a guy like a Percy Harvin, nobody is putting Percy Harvin in the same class of Larry Fitzgerald when it comes to route running. But when you talk about playmaking ability, the home run threat, take it to the house on any given play, they can both get from point A to point Z. They just do it in different ways. And so how he compares with Brian Thomas, I think it gives them a much needed additional weapon. So I understand the logic. However, I like to put players in positions to do what they do best. And for Travis Hunter, that's playing cornerback.
Rick Seratella, the NFL Draft Bible and allaccessfootball.com with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Rick, you've covered the league for a long time, man. I don't think anybody really knows how this is going to work, but I think what we can go on at least early, primary wide receiver. But having said that, there will certainly be a defensive element here. Now, is that 15 snaps a game? Is that 25 snaps a game? I don't think anybody really knows. But is this doable? I mean, what they're talking about Travis Hunter doing for 17 weeks in an NFL regular season?
Well, I've always been of one belief that I'm not going to be the one that puts it past this kid, because he's, to this point, been able to prove it. Now, I am more of the belief now, maybe a little bit different, where people worry about the physicality, endurance and durability. Can he hold up with? I'm more of the belief, can he withstand the mental? Not that he has a learning disability, but Hacker, I mean, how are you in the wide receiver room and the cornerback room during positional meetings at the same time? I don't know how that works, right? So, I mean, Jacksonville's going to have to get creative here in terms of, you know, studying and positional meetings. I mean, fans don't see that part of it, but that's probably the biggest element of this whole equation is, you know, how does he divide his time and get those reps with the positional coaches? Are the coaches going to stay after practice and work with him additionally? There's going to have to be a contingency plan there to make it work, and that's where I think we'll see how it all unfolds.
You know, I think it's a great point, and it's one that I've brought up. I mean, he's a 4.0 student. If you talk to the kid for 10 seconds, you're very much aware of his intelligence. I mean, he is a bright dude, but there's only 24 hours in a day, and you know, the physical part is one thing. But, for example, you know, the Jaguars face Carolina week 1. All right, well, you have to know how to go up against a J.C. Horn, right, as a wide receiver. but then you're also going to have to figure out how to go up against Ted McMillan or Adam Thielen as a corner, and that's just going to be really interesting to see how Gladstone, Cohen primarily, and this coaching staff, like you said, address that situation.
Yeah, because up until this point, he's just gotten by on natural ability, and you can do that in college, but the pros is a different ballgame, and the playbook is 5 times thicker, and that's 2 playbooks now that you have to learn.
All right, Rick, other draft picks. We won't go through them all, but certainly the Jaguars gave up a lot of capital. By the way, the national narrative, you alluded to this earlier, that the Jaguars just gave up a ton. I mean, they improved their 4th-round stock this year. That's where they drafted Bashel Tutin. Yeah, they gave up a 2nd-round pick where Cleveland took Junkins, the running back from Ohio State. To me, it's going to come down to next year. If Jacksonville's bad in 2025, and that's a top 10 pick for Cleveland, I think the Browns won the trade. If Jacksonville's good, and dare I say wins a bad AFC South, and that pick is 25 or later, I mean, the Jaguars won the trade. Isn't that the way you see it?
I mean, I just look at it like this. If Travis Hunter turns out to be the best player in this draft, nobody cares.
Right.
Right? Because you can't put a value on that. When you talk about building organizations, you want to collect blue chip talent. Those are foundational building blocks. You can't find enough of these players. So that's why I thought Cleveland was crazy for giving them up and moving out of that spot. So I don't care what you had to give up to get that guy. It's the best move in the draft.
Caleb Ransaw and Wyatt Milam were in the 3rd round. Ransaw, I've been told, was kind of a late bloomer, did some nice things at the Senior Bowl, and people got on to him late. Jacksonville takes him with the 88th pick. And then Wyatt Milam, I've been told, Rick, by a few people that might be a steal for Jacksonville, that some were maybe surprised he was there at number 89. What's a quick thought from you on both Ransaw and Milam?
Yeah, Ransaw grew on me down there throughout the week down in Mobile. He showed some pretty impressive coverage skills, I thought, ball instincts, but I think he's going to fit in here. He can fit in. He can play either safety spot. He can be a nickel back, but I think he's really going to be a special teamer. He's a core special teams player, plays on all special teams units. I think that's how he's going to make his mark initially, at least for Jacksonville. In terms of Milam, I was a little bit down on him. I can't lie. Like, the film, I definitely thought he was an interior player. I know he played tackle at West Virginia. I thought he was a little bit too slow, didn't have the footwork to stay on the outside. I think he'll do better on the inside. Now, he does have a wrestling background, so he has great hands placement, grappler, all that stuff. So I think he's a guy that's going to have to transition to the inside, though.
Yeah, I think that's the plan. I think there's going to be a legit competition at left guard between Milam and Ezra Cleveland as we enter training camp here in a couple of months. We know Ricky and Rick Seratella, NFL Draft Bible, allaccessfootball.com with us here on 1010XL. We know what Liam Cohen did with Bucky Irving in Tampa last year. The Jaguars took 2 running backs, LaQuint Allen in round 7, really good in pass protection, and the dude had 64 catches out of the backfield last year at Syracuse, which is a wild number. But I think most people here are intrigued about Bashel Tutin out of Virginia Tech, the fastest running back in the draft. I believe he ran a 4.32 at the Combine. What was your thought on either one of those running backs?
Yeah, hey, a little thunder and lightning action. I like this approach. When you look around the league, there's very few workhorse backs, and very few running backs get through the season unscathed. So it's going to be a committee approach. You talk about Tutin. He was down there in Mobile as well, has some wheels, very well, compact frame. You talk about a muscular, compact, low to the ground running style. And you have the speed, right? Again, talk about playmaking ability. Jacksonville needs to put points on the board, so this guy can take it the distance again. And who was the other back? I'm sorry.
LaQuint Allen out of Syracuse.
Oh, LaQuint Allen, yes. I mean, I had a chance to see him up close and in person. Tough, hard-nosed, yards after contact, gets the nitty-gritty between the tackles. You need 2 yards, 3 yards, short yardage goal line. LaQuint Allen can get it done. You mentioned his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. He does not have the speed or the game-breaking ability, so he's going to get you those tough yards. Tutin's going to get you those long yards. And when you took a look at the whole body of work in this draft, you alluded to it, like the offensive weapons and support cast now has been upgraded significantly.
Rick, I want to wrap up with kind of a broad overview of the entire draft class. The last player I want to focus on is Jack Kaiser, the linebacker from Notre Dame. There was a lot of head-scratching here maybe when that pick was made in round 4. But Liam Cohen last weekend at rookie minicamp, after he asked or answered about 5 Travis Hunter questions, the first rookie he singled out was Jack Kaiser from Notre Dame. What was your thought on him in the pre-draft process?
Man, I'll tell you, if I could have 53 Jack Kaisers, sign me up. First one in the building, last one out, try hard, overachiever, excellent in pass coverage. I mean, down in Senior Bowl week, this guy was the #1 pass coverage linebacker. He guarded all the tight ends, all the running backs out of the backfield. I was so thoroughly impressed. And then you find out that nobody in the draft had more special teams reps. I mean, nearly 1,000, 962 special teams reps. I've never seen that in my life. So when you talk about placing an emphasis on special teams, which I'm a huge advocate for because special teams is 1/3 of each ball game, you win and lose ball games on special teams. So when you pluck a Caleb Ransaw and a Jack Kaiser, it tells me that you value special teams and you're going to work on that. And I like that.
You have one of the most comprehensive pre-draft guides. We'll tell people again about the NFL Draft Bible here in one moment, but you're certainly a person to ask as we have now entered the OTA portion of the offseason. How do you think James Gladstone fared his first time at bat when you consider the trade, the subsequent draft picks after Travis Hunter? How would you assess the first-year Jaguar general manager?
Confident, clear vision, bold, strategic. I mean, I got to be honest. I looked at the baby-faced kid and said, I don't know about this. I'm a little bit skepticism, but this is why you can't judge a book by its cover. I mean, look what this young man did. No hesitation. I mean, this kid targeted guy. He said, I want Travis Hunter. I don't care what it costs. I'm going to do it and pull the trigger. Boom. I mean, and he had a vision for how he's going to employ him. He doesn't care about what the outside perception, what the general consensus is. So I think, there's going to be a boom or bust kind of element with this whole experiment, shall we call it. Like, it's either going to work out fantastic or it's going to fall flat. But so far, I mean, I'm ecstatic about it. I'm not into giving draft grades, but I wouldn't give many A's out there. But like Jacksonville would be an A-, B+, one of the top and the best draft that I liked.
Rick, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville, the NFL Draft Bible, also allaccessfootball.com, where they can find your work.
Yeah, thanks for that, Hack. I mean, allaccessfootball.com, tomorrow we're going to have the AFC South NFL Draft recap. So we'll have every Jacksonville Jaguars analysis pick by pick. We also have a post-draft sale. If you want to get the Draft Bible, over 500 in-depth scouting reports. You can do that over at the website, allaccessfootball.com. And always love chopping it up with you, brother.
He's one of our favorites, Rick Seratella, allaccessfootball.com, and, of course, the guy that founded the NFL Draft Bible. Rick, always appreciate it, man. We'll talk again soon, pal.
Buckle up.
My think tank now has a little something in the pipeline. It's an idea we like to call
1010XL.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Jason, I don't see how a new air conditioner is going to work out for me.
Well, you like air conditioning, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. But a new air conditioner could be expensive.
Well, not if you...
to save up the money, I probably have to give up my extra hot skim latte every morning. Now I fall asleep during a staff meeting, get volunteered for the summer picnic committee, and end up sitting in the dunk tank all afternoon getting water up my nose.
Okay, look at it this way. Put on these sunglasses. Whoa. Bueller Air and Plumbing puts in a new AC. We hook you up with affordable financing, and you stay cool and comfortable for just $149 a month. Cool?
Cool. I see it now.
Life can be hard on your budget. If you suffer through the heat because of a broken AC you could totally afford to replace, you could visit.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
It's Work Zone Awareness Week, Florida. Every year, lives are lost in work zones because of speeding and distractions. When you see orange cones, remember, slow down, follow the signs, and stay focused. Workers are counting on you to get home safely, and so are their families. Let's work together to prevent crashes and save lives. A safety reminder from the Florida Department of Transportation. Slow your roll. Safety's the goal.
Hello, all you Jacksonville sports fans. Don here from Taco Lou. If you're in the mood for some great tacos, cold Dos Equis, maybe even a sip of some fine tequila, then the Lou is calling your name. Come out to Jack's Beach and experience what many have dubbed the #1 taco in the 904. There are plenty of great taco joints in town, and we're proud to have been around for this long, and we have only you, the fine people of Jacksonville, to thank for helping us grow and become who we are today. Cheers to you, Jacksonville, and thank you from the Lou crew. Taco Lou in Jacksonville Beach.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Homeowners, storms don't wait, so why should you? Protect your home and your wallet with Universal Roof and Contracting. Save 15% on roof replacements and repairs now through May 31st. Financing is available with payments as low as $115. Call 855-ROOF-HELP for your free inspection. Universal Roof and Contracting, protecting your home, building your trust. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
UniversalRoof.com. Are you thinking about a pool for your home? Blue Haven Pools is Jacksonville's largest pool builder. They've built pools for over 20,000 satisfied families since 2000. It's never been easier to design the perfect pool for your home, family, and budget. Call Blue Haven Pools today at 904-620-0090 to get a free in-home estimate for your in-ground pool, or visit bluehaven.com. Don't let another summer pass by without a pool. Join thousands of happy Jacksonville pool owners in a Blue Haven pool.
Yo, 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 it's your boy E to the T here, and I know that getting into an accident is stressful, but getting the proper care doesn't have to be. That's why I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center. Even if you're at fault, your insurance covers you. And remember, you have the right to choose your own doctor. Even a minor accident can cause whiplash for years if it goes untreated. So don't wait. Call the auto accident experts at McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation. Your recovery starts today.
The housing market is as busy as ever on the First Coast. And if you've moved in or moved on, make sure you have a team of trained electricians ready to help. American Electrical can make sure you're up to date electrically and maximize your living experience. Smart home automation services, home theater systems, outdoor and dock lighting, and backup generators. American Electrical can do it all. A team you can trust with highly trained technicians, ensuring you have the best living experience. American-Electrical.com, a leader on the First Coast and powered by professionalism.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with a beautiful selection of fine jewelry and certified diamonds. But we're also Jacksonville's leading buyer of gold and silver and diamonds from the public. Gold has recently hit an all-time high at almost $3,000 per ounce. Pay bills, buy something fun. Now is the time to sell your gold for cash and get top dollar, or trade it in for a new piece and get even more value at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Yo, E.T. here, and I need you to beat the heat this summer with cool escapes and non-stop fun in Clay County. Tackle indoor adventures head-on. Throw axes at Live by Axe, or smash your stress away at Just Smash That. Then kick back with drinks, good food, and fandom vibes at Nakama Anime Bar, or Leaderboard Arcade and Bar. Whether you're blowing off steam or just looking to chill, Clay County got your perfect indoor getaway. Find your pool at exploreclay.com. That's exploreclay.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Halftime, Hacker After Dark. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We'll take you up till 10 o'clock as we do every night right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. Coming up at the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour, my buddy Sean Devaney, Heavy.com. Sean's been one of my NBA guys for a long time. We got the Final Four in the NBA. It's not the Final Four that I thought. It's certainly not the Final Four that most of you thought. Boy, all the talk about Boston and Cleveland and Boston and the Eastern Conference the entire year, like it was a foregone conclusion that it was going to be the Celtics and the Cavaliers, and the fact that both are out. And it's the Pacers and the Knicks beginning Wednesday night. And if you're an old school, I guess old school, right? 25 years, that classifies as old school. Heck, 30 years for that matter, 3 decades. If you're an old school NBA fan like I am, man, you think about Reggie Miller and Spike Lee, right? And Rick Smits and Dale and Antonio Davis of the Pacers against Patrick Ewing and John Starks and Greg Anthony and Charles Oakley and those New York teams. Those were a couple of series in 94 and 95 that were absolutely awesome. Of all the 30 for 30s that ESPN has done for over the years, and they've done a ton of them, Winning Time, the one about Reggie Miller in Madison Square Garden, to me is still one of the best, going back to those series. And now for the Pacers and the Knicks to get together again 30 years later in the Eastern Conference Finals with a right to play for a world championship on the line. That's a juicy series, man. I'm excited about it. So the Pacers and the Knicks begin Wednesday night in the Eastern Conference Finals. In the Western Conference Finals, we had a Game 7 yesterday. Oklahoma City just absolutely destroyed Denver, just destroyed them. They advanced to take on Minnesota. And look, what does it say about the NBA? You know, I'm old enough to remember when people thought the big markets, right? The big cities, the big money, we're just going to take over the league. And now here we are in 2025, and the 4 teams left. You got New York, obviously, that applies. But the other 3 are Oklahoma City, Minneapolis, and Indianapolis. Parity at its finest in the association. So Sean Devaney, Heavy.com, will preview the conference finals with us coming up at the bottom of the hour. Coming up in less than 15 minutes, we will go to Gainesville. My buddy Graham Hall, 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247. A lot going on with the University of Florida. First, the basketball side of things. Boogie Flan, one of the best guards in the portal, took his name out of the NBA draft. He's coming back to college. He's leaving Arkansas. He's on campus right now at the University of Florida. That would be the cherry on top for the Gators. If they were to land Boogie Flan, they already have Xavier Lee. They already have A.J. Brown. Flan would be their 3rd guard to replace the 3 guards they lost in Richard, Martin, and obviously Walter Clayton. Ruben Chinyelu announced earlier today that he's taking his name out of the NBA draft. He's coming back to Florida. So now Florida's front court is going to have Micah Hanlockton, Tommy Houck, and Ruben Chinyelu, and now we're waiting on one more. Will Alex Condon come back? And he has to make his choice in the next 9 days. I believe May 28th is the deadline where we will find out one way or another if Alex Condon decides to come back or if he goes pro. And if he goes pro, good for him. But getting Chinyelu back is a big deal now with Houck, with Hanlockton, so the Gators will still have a pretty formidable front court. And if they were to get Condon back, they'll have the best front court in America. Football side of things, been a couple of big recruiting weekends in Florida. They got a commit over the weekend. They had like 3 5-stars that visited this past weekend. We'll get into that. And how about the baseball team? Look, I don't talk a lot of college baseball, but tip your cap where it's due. Florida was 1-11 in SEC play. They could have just mailed it in, said this is not our year. Injuries have caught up with us. From 1-11 to 15-15, an absolute lock for the NCAA tournament. And if they were to win a couple of games in Hoover, which their tournament begins tomorrow against South Carolina, they might actually be able to host a regional in the NCAA tournaments. There's a ton to get into with the Gators. Never mind the fact they're scheduled to visit President Trump at the White House on Wednesday, Todd Golden and the basketball team, to celebrate that college basketball title. So we'll talk a lot of Florida athletics with my buddy Graham Hall of 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247. That comes up in less than 15 minutes. Denmark, it was an exciting weekend of sports. Not that I really watch these sports a lot, but good heavens, the Preakness on Saturday. I mean, look, I'm not a horse racing aficionado. You know, no one's ever going to confuse me for the biggest handicapper of horse racing, but I know terrific theater when I see it. In that last 30 seconds of the Preakness, that was as good of an ending of a horse race in the Triple Crown as I've seen in a long, long time. Were you able to catch any of that?
I'm about to watch here in the next 30 seconds.
It was unreal. Unreal. Journalism, who was one of the favorites in the Kentucky Derby, didn't win, gets boxed in, collides with a couple of horses, works his way through, and makes up what looked like 7, 8, 9 lengths to win the Derby the Preakness, literally in a photo finish. It was spectacular theater for 2 minutes. You combine that with Caitlin Clark and the WNBA being back, I'm as guilty as anybody. I don't think I ever really talked WNBA before Angel Reese and before Caitlin Clark.
Nobody did, Hack.
This rivalry, though, is awesome. Whenever the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever get together, look, Angel Reese, that was ridiculous. Was that game yesterday, I think?
Yes.
The fact that they called a flagrant, it was Saturday. The fact that they called a flagrant foul on Caitlin Clark for that is a joke. Angel Reese responded in the fashion that she did, but I love it. It's reality TV at its finest. Sign me up for more of that. I absolutely was locked in. And again, I don't think I'll watch many WNBA games that don't involve Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. But for what it was for me, was that rivalry spectacular. And you add the little, it wasn't a fight necessarily, but the exchanging of pleasantries just adds to it. It was good stuff, man. It was good stuff. And a tip of the cap to my alma mater, UNF softball, right? I couldn't tell you anything about UNF softball before 3 days ago. But watching those ladies beat Virginia to get their first regional win in the NCAA tournament in school history, and then being down 5-1 on Saturday and coming back and winning it in the bottom of the 7th to eliminate the Virginia Cavaliers, that was awesome. And UNF got to the regional final, where they unfortunately fell to South Carolina yesterday. But I was a proud Osprey alum on Saturday evening because that comeback over Virginia was absolutely terrific. Really enjoyed that. So between women's softball, the WNBA, the Preakness, Denmark, I would like to think I was a well-rounded sports observer this weekend, all right? I took what the sports world gave me, and, brother, I ran with it because it was tremendous stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed it because I really did enjoy sports that I don't normally watch. I gave a chance this weekend, and it was beneficial because I found myself really enjoying what I was watching. Again, Sean Devaney, Heavy.com, one of our NBA guys here on Hacker After Dark, will preview both the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals. That comes up at the bottom of the hour. Coming up next, let's go to Gainesville. Graham Hall, 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247. Let's talk basketball. Let's talk a little football recruiting. Let's talk a little White House visit. And let's talk a little Gator baseball. Graham Hall, 24/7 Sports, joins me next on a Monday evening here in Jacksonville. We're glad you're with us right here on Hacker After Dark.
Bone-crushing blows to game-winning goals.
Yes!
Feel the energy on 1010XL.
History!
Jacksonville Sports Radio.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Attention business owners and property managers. Hurricane season is right around the corner. Is your property ready? Call the pros at Duck Duck Rooter for expert storm drain cleaning and hydrojetting. Our powerful VACCON truck clears the way so your drains flow freely when the rain hits. Call 904-862-6769 today to schedule your service and protect your property before the storms start rolling in. Duck Duck Rooter, your trusted name in storm drain maintenance. Visit us at duckduckrooter.com. We are a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hey, so where do we tee off? Tee it high and let it fly.
He's got a beautiful backswing.
Oh, he got all of that one. Tour news, local updates, and the latest gear. Cut a few strokes off your game Saturday mornings at 10 with the Edwin Watts Golf Hour on 1010XL.
Instant Key. You don't have to go to the dealer.
Keys saves the day if you have lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call 722-1111.
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Here's your 1010XL community calendar of local events and nonprofit groups helping people here at home.
You can help Micah's Place support domestic violence victims by playing in the Par for a Purpose golf tournament June 20th at the stunning Golf Club of Amelia Island. Register at micahsplace.org/golf.
City Rescue Mission provides life-changing support for the homeless. Find ways to get involved at crmjax.org.
If you could benefit from a grief and loss support group, call Haven Hospice at 279-1677.
You have healing power. Even writing a letter or volunteering can help heal a veteran. Find out more at healvets.org.
The Hometown for Heroes Home Buyers Program helps you get your down payment and closing costs paid. Call to learn more. 574-7180.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com.
Say goodbye to glasses and contacts with customized vision treatments at Bowden Eye & Associates. Hey, Hicken here. Dr. Bowden and his expert team bring you all the latest options like Evo implantable Caliber lenses, refractive lens exchange, or traditional LASIK. Tailored just for you. Imagine waking up to clear vision. No hassle, no fuss. You ready to see the difference? Call now or visit BowdenEye.com for a free screening. Bowden Eye & Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
Get closer to nature.
Trying to get close to these bucks out here.
Jeff Lageman, Captain Kevin Faber, and Captain Kirk Walls. The Nimnicht Outdoor Show, presented by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning. Saturday morning, 7 to 10 on 1010XL.
Hey, Hicken here, and you know I'm going to talk about skin. Yeah, it's hot outside, folks. The oven is on. Temps are in the 90s, and it's only getting hotter. I love the summer, but my skin doesn't. I do my best with dry fit shirts, big floppy hats, plenty of water. My secret weapon, though, the sunscreen. I use it regularly. Maybe you should as well. Look, I've also been seeing docs at Peaches Dermatology for years, and my skin thanks me for it. I'm telling you, it could save your life. Book your appointment today at peachesdermatology.com.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville. You're on-road, you're off-road, now you're on the water. Greg, tell everybody what Coach and Honda is offering in the form of boats.
We've got the Honda boat, which is a great runabout fisherman. We've got the Coach boats. They're fantastic for getting out with a family. Nice lay-down beds, all with that legendary Honda motor on them.
Check them all out. They're waiting for you. You can see how you can be on the water with Honda or with Coach pontoon boats. Cycles of Jacksonville on Atlantic near Regency.
This Memorial Day, Navy Mutual would like to salute Pittsburgh Pirates Hall of Famer Roberto Clemente. Beloved in the baseball world, it shouldn't be forgotten that Clemente was a private first class in the United States Marine Corps for almost 10 years of his baseball career.
Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org.
Has someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI, domestic violence, and all criminal offenses. In your battle with the justice system, there's only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645. 354-5645.
David here with Royal Pest Services. Man, don't let your yard be torn up by that heavy aeration machine this spring. Visit RoyalPestServices.com to learn more about our granular aeration. Broadcast throughout the tree and shrubs to break up that compacted soil. Visit RoyalPestServices.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line.
Hello.
Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Boy, the middle portion of May, and there is a ton going on. with the University of Florida, really with all the three main men's sports, baseball, basketball, and football. Although baseball is the only one actually going on right now, a lot going on with football recruiting and a lot going on with the basketball transfer portal and a visit to the White House later this week. Let's talk about all of it with Graham Hall, 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247. Graham is certainly one of our guys in Gainesville, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Graham, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, like you said, certainly a lot going on in Gainesville. Never feels like there's a dull moment here. Even when teams are not competing, there's a lot going on.
Well, I want to touch upon football and baseball in a moment. Let's begin with basketball. We'll talk about the White House visit with President Trump in just a moment. But some big news out of the transfer portal. I think the consensus, Graham, is that Florida is still looking for probably one more guard in the portal, and maybe the best guard left in the portal, Boogie Flan from Arkansas, who just took his name out of the NBA draft, is now visiting Florida, I believe, as early as today, correct?
That is correct, yes. Boogie Flan is the number 8 ranked overall transfer in the portal by 247 Sports. Absolutely a player that any team would love to add to their roster. And for Florida, they've been quite proactive in his recruitment here. We heard a couple weeks ago that if he were to pull out of the NBA draft, the Gators would be looking to get in the mix for Flan, and that ultimately did come to fruition. He pulled out of the Combine in Chicago. And Florida has already had discussions with him, leading him to take this official visit to Gainesville here. This was something that has been, worked on and set up over the last couple of weeks here. And now the Gators are going to get the first and potentially the last crack at him. I think that the most interesting thing here is that there is a dead period in college basketball that begins on Wednesday and runs through June 1st. So in that time, you're going to see an abundance of players decide to exit the NBA draft, with the college eligibility deadline being on May 28th. So any programs looking to add a guy of Flan's caliber, this is kind of the time to do it. So I think it speaks really well to Florida's approach, how much they've been, like I said, proactive in his recruitment. And the Gators are certainly pushing for a commitment before Wednesday. This is something that can be wrapped up here fairly soon before the dead period. So this is a massive one for Todd Golden in terms of the rebuilding of the roster. We know that they've already addressed the backcourt, adding Xavier Lee out of Princeton, adding A.J. Brown, who I wrote about over at Swamp 247 that you can read about, and just the pitch that Florida made, him coming and playing with his brother, is certainly an appeal as well. So this is one that absolutely would, I think, make Florida a team that you're going to look at and say, man, they really could go back-to-back, especially if they get Alex Condon, Ruben Chinyelu back. They're already bringing back Tommy Houck. They have Mike Hanlogson coming back as well, Urban Klavzar. This is a team that has retained a lot of key pieces from last year's team, even though they lost veteran guards in Walter Clayton Jr., Will Richard, and Elijah Martin. So you land Boogie Flan, a guy who was the second leading scorer at Arkansas this past season before he suffered that thumb injury in January, ended up coming off the bench and returning for the NCAA tournament for the Razorbacks, but certainly a guy who impacts you on both ends of the floor, and Florida would love to land him, and now it's up to them to get the job done.
There's a general thought, and again, not to get Florida fans' hopes up here in Jacksonville, but isn't there a general thought, and I've heard this by a lot of national pundits, that Florida is the, quote, leader in the clubhouse? It makes too much sense for Flan and Florida, and there's a lot of people that think this is going to happen, correct?
Absolutely. I do think that Florida is undoubtedly the leader right now in his recruitment. I've actually been gathering some info, and you can read it over at Swamp 247 if you're a VIP subscriber, about the other teams that could be in the mix for Flan. UNC was pushing to try and get him to campus. He didn't show much interest there, and now it looks like they're going to maybe target some overseas players to fill out their roster. Arkansas obviously was someone that you'd think a player decides to pull out of the NBA draft. Maybe they're going to return to the program they were just at. They know the coaching staff. They're familiar with the surroundings in Fayetteville. But from the word coming out of Flan's camp, he's not too interested in a return to Arkansas. I don't know if it's really comes down to just not thinking he's an ideal fit in John Calipari's offense. Obviously a legendary head coach in John Calipari. You'd think, who wouldn't want to play for a guy like that? But that's the sense that people have got from talking with Flan, is that he's looking for new surroundings and to be in an offense that's more conducive for his skill set, I guess you could say. And you look at Florida's offense the last couple of years being one of the top offenses in college basketball. 2 years ago, they had the highest scoring offense in Florida men's basketball program history, averaging more than 87 points per game. Last year, they were more balanced, but still had a top 10 offense. This is a guy that if you're looking to show that you are worthy of being a first-round pick, which is certainly something Fland is looking to do. You know, when he entered the NBA draft, there were a lot of people talking about maybe this could be a top 25 pick, even though he is rather young and only played one season of college basketball. If you're looking to come back, increase your stock, continue improving your game, play for a program that's going to be on full display in college basketball, I don't think there's any better one right now than the Florida Gators. Obviously, now we're going to be the defending national champions next season. So it makes a lot of sense for both parties here. The one team that if this doesn't get worked out between Florida and Boogie Fland that I will say is maybe, I don't know if I'd call them even a dark horse considering the NIL that they have at their disposal and what you saw them do this last year. If there's one team that I think could surprise some people if Florida doesn't get this done, is Texas Tech. You know, that's a team that made it all the way, you know, to the Elite Eight this past season. They have a lot of talent on their roster. They're looking to replace several pieces from last season's team. If Florida doesn't get this done, I mean, I'd watch out for Texas Tech. So I don't want to say there's some urgency necessarily for Florida to seal the deal here with Fland, but this is a guy, like I said, a top 10 transfer that if Florida doesn't get this done, there's going to be still teams in the mix looking to add him. So Florida is the leader, but they're not the only team that is going to look to get Fland to put pen to paper and come back for his sophomore season.
Graham Hall, 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247, covering the Florida Gators. Graham, quickly, because I want to get to football and a little bit of baseball. What are you hearing about Alex Condon? You mentioned May 28th is kind of the deadline. Where are we with those two guys?
Alex Condon is a little bit more of an intriguing one. I get the sense he's going to return to Florida because you've heard him discuss what he's looking for. He wants to be, you know, guaranteed to be picked either in the first round or maybe even early in the second round, you know, a chance to catch on with a team. But his skill set is so impressive and he's played the game much less than a lot of other players in the NBA draft that I think a lot of teams could look at him and be like, if he continues improving at this rate, improves his shot making, cuts down a little bit on the turnovers. He's already a really impressive passer. His ball handling, his facilitating continue to improve. There's a lot of desirable attributes here for him at the next level. With all that said, I do think that this is a guy that has been told by Florida's coaching staff, if you come back and you work on those things in Gainesville, you have a chance to be a surefire first-round pick next season. And obviously with NIL, if you're going to be someone who is picked outside the lottery here, you're talking about, you know, making anywhere from $2.5 million to considerably less than that. And with NIL, you can make more than that potentially if you come back to college. So I don't think really the guaranteed money is much of a factor here. I think that if I had to put money on it right now, I would say that Alex Condon chooses to return to Florida, but there could be a team out there, especially with him participating in that pro day and displaying his skill set and going through the combine. You could see a team say to him, hey, we're picking you within the top 35 picks, and he chooses to stay in the draft. With all that said, I do think if I were to put money on it, that he comes back to Florida for his junior season and gives the Gators a critical piece for their 2025-26 season as they look to defend their national championship. But like I said, that's not, I think, a guaranteed thing. Like a lot of people have said, we're going to have to see what decision he chooses to make here in the near future.
Yeah, we'll get some clarity on that, as you said, very, very soon. Final basketball thought, about 30 seconds, Graham. White House trip on Wednesday to go see President Trump. That should be a lot of fun for those kids.
Yeah, getting the roster back together may be the most difficult challenge for Florida here. We'll see how many Florida players are able to make it. Obviously, with the combine ending in Chicago, you think that Walter Clayton, Elijah Martin, you know, Will Richard no longer participating in the G League Elite Camp, you know, Alex Condon, Ruben Chiniello, those guys are going to be able to make the trip. I do think that the bigger questions are some of the transfers that Florida lost and some of the international players. I would right now not expect Denzel Aberdeen to join his former teammates. And in Washington, D.C., I think that Sam Alexis will make the trip from Indiana from what I've heard, but, you know, we'll have to see how many guys actually show up, some coaches out of the building as well. And like I said, some international players, guys like Kaius Kablikis, Urban Klabsar. We'll see what their availabilities are because, remember, these are guys who've been away from home. They've been overseas for, 9-10 months, and this is the window to go back and see family and friends. So getting the roster back together is certainly going to be a challenge. We'll see how many guys actually show up. But with all this said, I don't want to make this political in any way. And I see some people saying, hey, don't go. They should go, depending on their political leanings. But let me just say, this is often a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for players and coaches alike. Put the politics aside here and realize that this is a chance for guys to go to the White House, meet the president, regardless of who it is, and be able to have a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And for all of them, that should be celebrated because they certainly earned it. And we'll see how many guys with Florida's coaching staff are there on Wednesday.
Graham Hall, 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247. Pretty good weekend for Florida in recruiting. They got a commitment on the gridiron, and they had a ton of visits over the last couple of weekends.
Yeah, this was kind of a shoot-your-shot type weekend for Florida, having 3 5-stars on campus and Felix Ojo, Calvin Russell, Chauncey Kennan. Those are guys who are going to take 6 more weeks at least to make their decision here. But Florida made an impressive pitch to a lot of those guys. The lowest rated one who was on campus, Jameer Perez, that's the one that they landed a commitment from, which, he said he's going to shut everything down, not take his further visits. But his school in high school is kind of like a pipeline in a sense to Ohio State. So shutting that visit down and no longer visiting the Buckeyes is a win. We'll see if he does choose to follow through with that. He also had visits to Vanderbilt, Purdue, a couple other schools lined up. Getting a commitment, though, for Florida was big coming out of this weekend because they only had one pledge in-state signal caller Will Griffin coming into this weekend here. But certainly if they want to land some of these other guys like Calvin Russell, who I mentioned, the 5-star wide receiver out of Miami, they're going to have to keep doing some work over the next couple of weeks. Fortunately for one of them, Chauncey Kennan, they've already lined up a return visit for June 3rd because he's going to come back and see OTAs in Gainesville, see how the coaching staff works. So for a lot of these guys, are going to have to keep pushing, and this is probably the least activity that you're going to see for Florida for the official visit weekend. Some of these other visits that they have coming up over the next month, you're going to see double-digit visitors on campus. I think for that final one that they're going to have in mid-June, you're going to see at least 15 official visitors in Gainesville. So things are just getting started on the recruiting front, but for Florida, it's big that they came out of this weekend landing a commitment.
Graham, final question. Let's end with baseball. From 1-11 in conference play to 15-15. I mean, that's incredible to win. What is that? 14 of their last 18 conference games. They're probably a lock for the NCAA tournament. They begin SEC play on Tuesday in the tournament out in Hoover. I mean, what a job by Kevin O'Sullivan and that coaching staff.
Yeah, really showing why he's one of the best, if not the best coach in the country in college baseball. I mean, all the injuries that Florida has dealt with, to be able to navigate that, to overcome when they could have thrown in the towel at 1-11 SEC play and said, it's just not our year. We're getting beat by high caliber teams and we're more injured than we ever hoped to be coming into the season. So impressive job by him. 6 straight SEC series heading into the postseason here. I think they are a lock, to answer your question, for the NCAA tournament. You look at the RPI, you look at the strength of schedule, you look at how they finished, that they are all but certain to make the NCAA tournament. I think the biggest question that we're going to find out this week when they open conference play in the tournament in Hoover against South Carolina is, can this team end up hosting a regional? I do think that it's certainly a possibility. It is not a lock in my mind, but if they go to Hoover and win 1-2 games, I think you're talking about this team hosting a regional, which is just a miraculous turnaround in a sense, considering what we just said, how they were 1-11 in SEC, and people were sitting here in late March, early April saying, hey, Kevin O'Sullivan's run of regionals is going to come to an end. Now it's looking like, not so fast, my friend. They have a chance to host one if they take care of business for 1 or 2 more games. Even if they don't, and they're a number 2 seed in the regional, what team wants to face Florida right now? I mean, if you get Florida in their regional, you're sitting there and kind of shaking in your boots a little bit and saying no one wants to face this team right now. They're playing with an underdog mentality, and they've overcome so much. You don't want to face them right now. So a really impressive job by Kevin O'Sullivan and his coaching staff. Give the players a ton of credit. They've handled adversity much better than it looked like they were going to be able to 2 months ago. And now they're looking to make a little bit of a further run. They're kind of playing with, house money in a sense here. And it's going to be intriguing to see how it all shakes out.
Graham, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville, 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247, what you guys have coming out on the website in the coming days.
Yes, some more recruiting content. We'll be talking to several prospects here. We'll be adding to our staff over at Swamp 247 in the very, very near future. make sure you check that out. We're really excited about that. We'll also have information on Boogie Fland. We'll keep tracking the decisions of Alex Conant and Ruben Chinyelu, and plenty more content. Like I said, baseball, we'll have coverage of that. Join the community over at Swamp 247. Join the discussion, vent, praise, whatever you want to do, come do it over here at Swamp 247, and we'll have to do this really again soon, Ryan.
Graham Hall of Swamp 247. Graham, I know you're busy, man. Thank you for the time. We'll do it again soon, pal.
Pleasure's all mine. Y'all take care out there.
1010XL takes you inside the program director's office with Dan and Jeff.
I like you boys.
The Drill.
Which is why I'm giving you another chance.
Mornings on 1010XL.
I suggest you be on your best behavior.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes here with a challenge. A challenge might not be the best choice in words, so let's say an opportunity. Take the opportunity to lose 40 by the 4th with Awaken 180. It sounds a little different when you put a real goal to it, doesn't it? Maybe you looked at the scale this morning and it read 230 pounds. How about a reading 190 by the 4th? Maybe the scale says 300. Wouldn't the number 260 be a little nicer on your eyes and on your joints? It's attainable if you have the same results we all had with Awaken 180. I dropped 40 pounds in 9 weeks. Hacker dropped his first 40 in just 6 weeks. Dempsey, Blue, and everyone else I know, same results. And we've kept it off. The best thing about Awaken 180 weight loss, it will completely change the way you think, see, and feel about food. The results are real, attainable, and the process simple with Awaken 180. Take the opportunity and drop 40 by the 4th. It all starts with just one call to Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Call 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick. We're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, it only costs for the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org, and you can apply there.
Apply by November 6th.
Mike Dempsey, and now's the time to get your roof hurricane ready with Apex Roofing and Contracting of Jacks Beach. Look, our rainy season is no joke, and if your roof's got damage, leaks, or it's just plain worn out, don't wait. Apex is local, dependable, and will show up on time using only premium materials with ironclad warranties. No shortcuts, no stress, just quality work you can trust. Skip the storm season scramble. Reach for the peak with Apex Roofing and Contracting in Jacks Beach or visit apexroofingfl.com.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Jacksonville, you know a good defense wins games, and a good fence protects your home. Frank Frangie here. Coil Fencing has been around the block since 1927. Literally, they've probably fenced it too. From tough chain link to sleek aluminum fences your HOA will love, Coil is the name to trust. Nearly a century strong and still standing tall. Call Coil today. You can trust them. Call 904-356-4821 or visit coiljacks.com. That's COYLE Jacks.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jacks cool since 87.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. And then there were 4 remaining in the NBA. What has been a very interesting playoff, a playoff that's kind of been affected to a large extent by some injuries, which we'll get into in a moment. At the end of the day, in the Eastern Conference, it's a surprise with New York and Indiana. In the Western Conference, Oklahoma City and Minnesota as the conference finals begin tomorrow night. Sean Devaney, Heavy.com, has been one of our NBA guys for years. He's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Sean, how we doing, man?
I'm doing well, Ryan. How are you?
Sean, we're good. Thank you for the time. And all right, we'll talk about the 4 remaining teams in a moment. But what about the injury problems? We saw it with Steph Curry, obviously Jason Tatum, Aaron Gordon. You can go back into the first round with injury issues. Is that just a coincidence this year, Sean, or is there something more to that in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I think it happens every year, and the more as it happens, you sort of forget about it. That it was a factor. This is something that it does come up. It's worse when it's big name players, when it's Steph Curry and Jason Tatum. But every year you're going to get injuries that are going to affect the way these postseasons come out. So it's unfortunate, but I do think it's more a coincidence than anything else. I certainly heard conspiracy theories or solutions and all that, and I don't expect the league to do anything that's really going to dramatically affect the way the schedule is going forward.
Sean, you and I talked a lot during the regular season, and the thought was, look, it's going to be Boston and Cleveland in the Eastern Conference Finals. Those were clearly the two best teams. Your level of surprise that neither one of them made it?
Pretty huge. I guess with Cleveland, you could sort of understand and see it come in that they didn't have the experience level. What was surprising about Cleveland was the way they really mailed things in. Once things stopped going their way, I don't think anybody would have expected that, not with the kind of season that they had. But it's not completely beyond comprehension that they wind up out. The Celtics, you could certainly point to the Tatum injury, but the fact is they were down pretty heavy in that game even before Tatum got injured. So having Tatum out there probably wasn't going to change much because they still would have been down 3-1 and need to win 3 games. So the Celtics, I don't think that was it's easy to point to the Tatum stuff, but I don't think that's why they lost. And again, putting that into context, it's a pretty big shocker. It was such a good matchup for them. I think losing those 2 games at home, blowing 20-point leads, it's hard to come back from that. And we've seen once that happened, the Celtics, they really couldn't get off the mat. Like I said, you can point to the Tatum injury with that, but I think there was something deeper going on there with Boston, and that's what the real shocker is.
Sean Devaney, Heavy.com, covering the NBA with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. All right, New York, Indiana, first and foremost to the Knicks. Boy, the NBA loves the Knicks right now when you look at the other media markets that are left in this thing. And the fact that it's the Pacers, Sean, look, I was an NBA fan almost from birth, but when I really started loving it was 94, 95, Reggie Miller versus Patrick Ewing and those unbelievable Pacer-Knicks series in the playoffs. And now here we are in 2025. The winner goes to the NBA Finals. I mean, that's a juicy series with Indiana and New York based on all that history.
Yeah, I think there's history, and I think it's going to be a very entertaining series because these are 2 teams that when you look at the matchup, they both want to play very different ways. And so it's going to come down to who can impose their style of play on the other. Indiana comes in, they want to run. And they want to push the pace. I mean, this is a team that's averaging 118 points a game in the playoffs. And out of the 10 games, they've lost 2. In the 2 losses, they scored 101 and 104 points. So it's pretty clear what their MO is. They want to score a lot of points. If they don't break 115, then they're not going to win. The Knicks, meanwhile, they want to play in the low hundreds, even in the 90s if they can. So it's going to be a real battle of wills. Some of it's going to depend on the refs. How many fouls are they giving? Are they stopping things a lot? Are they allowing Jalen Brunson to get to the line a lot? That's going to be a big factor because that you can't run off of fouls. You can't run that way. So that's going to be a big determining factor. But that's the interesting thing is that the Knicks want to play slow. They want to play a half court. They want to get to the free throw line, whereas the Pacers want to get out and run. So that's to me is really certainly the history like you mentioned is is definitely fascinating. You're going to have Reggie Miller in the building and Spike Lee and all that, and so that connection is going to be a lot of fun. But just the style of play, I think, with these two teams, it's so polar opposite, and it's going to be a matter of who's got the will to kind of impose what they want to do on the other side.
How did Indiana do this? I mean, they ran roughshod over Giannis in Milwaukee. Then they have very little trouble with the number 1 seed in Cleveland. I mean, Halliburton's an emerging star. Siakam, Andrew Nembhard, we're familiar with him from his time at Florida. He's come on unbelievably. But they don't have a lot of household names, Sean. I mean, how did the Pacers do this?
Yeah, I mean, look, they closed the year. I believe it was 15-4. Was their record to close the year, and now they've gone 8-2 in the playoffs. So this is a team that really. Has really hit its stride and kind of did so under the radar. I don't think a lot of people really noticed them that they were playing so well. They've got Tyrese Halliburton, like you say, but other than that, they've got a lot of depth. They've got Nembhard and Miles Turner and Ben Mather, and they come at you with the wave of about 11 players, and that's not something that's going to get a lot of headlines, of course, but it's been very effective. So the fact that they can play, and they will, they're not a great defensive team, but what they'll do is they'll wear you out. They'll pick you up 3/4 court because they can't. They've got 11 players that they can use, so they'll pick you up 3/4 court. They'll make you work for 48 minutes, thinking that you're going to wind up tiring out. So that's really been the key for the Pacers. Now, did they get a little lucky in the playoffs? Absolutely. Look, Damian Lillard wasn't healthy, then he comes back and he gets hurt again. So it's pretty much Giannis against the whole team in Indiana. So that was a bit of a break. They got a couple of injuries against the Cavaliers that benefited them, and they really got a Cavaliers team that just melted under pressure as well. That was a bit of a lucky break. So certainly you could say that, but that doesn't explain the fact that they've been one of the best teams in the league basically since the beginning of March. You could point to those easy matchups or some of the breaks they've had at the same time. They've really played well. You got to give them credit for that.
A couple of more for Sean Devaney, Heavy.com, talking NBA Conference Finals. To the Western Conference, Oklahoma City yesterday survived the Game 7. They actually destroyed Denver in the 7th game to advance. They get Minnesota, and Minnesota's another team. I mean, look, you talk about going through the Lakers. They beat Golden State, albeit with an injured Steph Curry. But what's your thought on the Western Conference Finals?
Yeah, I mean, Minnesota, you're right. It's the same thing where you could certainly say, okay, they got some breaks here and there. But actually go back to the All-Star break. They've been pretty much, one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the league on both sides of the ball since the All-Star break. So this is a team that has hit its stride. They made the big trade. They send out Karl Anthony Towns. They get back Dante DiVincenzo and Julius Randle. And I think a lot of people looked at that as well. They couldn't afford to pay Towns, so they're sort of taking a step back. They're taking a demotion in effect. But Randall has been such a fantastic fit for them. Alongside, running sort of as a point forward. They don't have a great point guard at this point. Mike Conley, at his age. So to be able to run things through Julius Randle has been really fantastic for them. And of course, they've got Anthony Edwards. So that's going to be they're a really tough team to defend, and they play great defense. Of course, Oklahoma City's been the best defensive team all season. So this is a more of a matchup of Minnesota does want to play faster, but Oklahoma City, both of these teams play really excellent defense. This is going to be a really difficult matchup for both sides.
Sean, I'm old enough to remember the NBA and some NBA fans talking about big markets this and big markets that, and how the big markets are going to reign supreme. And now here we are in 2025 and 4 teams left. 3 of them reside in Oklahoma City, in Minneapolis, and in Indianapolis. So what does that say about where the NBA is right now?
I mean, this is what the NBA has wanted. This is, if you go back go all the way back to the lockout in 2011, and David Stern kept talking about system issues, and they wanted to fix system issues. And what that was basically saying was that we want parity. We want teams from different cities to be able to compete. We want teams to be able to come into contention quickly, and not necessarily have it be something where a team gets to the top and stays there for 6, 7, 8 years. So we're seeing the results of that. The aprons and all the rules that have been made financially have forced teams to make these changes, and we're going to see more of it. The Celtics are a great example. They can't afford this roster. They can't, even if they'd won a championship, they would have had to make some changes just because of the way that the finances are set up now. So, that's something where this is what the league has always wanted. The question is whether it will work, because, if the ratings aren't there, you're going to have an issue. You might miss having the Lakers in the playoffs every year if the ratings aren't there. You might miss, a dynasty where, you might say we don't want the Warriors in the finals, 5 years in a row. People watch those finals, though. Those finals, they got eyeballs, and so if you take away those dynasties, are people still going to watch? That's going to be a real question. You get parity in the NFL, but anybody will watch any team in the NFL. We know that. Will it happen in the NBA? That's a tougher question.
Sean, I want to end with the draft lottery fallout. Quickly, though, who do you have going to the NBA Finals?
I think I do think the Knicks. I think we'll see Knicks, and I do think the Thunder will pull off the upset. So I get Knicks Thunder. I think that's to be a great narrative, at least. Given the trade that they made. That
probably is the best case scenario for the NBA. I think. Look, yes. I'm an NBA fan, and I love it. But if it's Indiana, Minnesota, we'll see about those ratings. But I wonder if those are the two teams that might be playing the best right now. We shall see. All right, leave us with this, Sean. Cooper Flagg is going to go to Dallas. All the hubbub last week and in the last 10 days or so about that whole situation. I don't think it's rigged necessarily, but I do think it was a terrible look for the league. Worst case scenario. What was your thought?
Yeah, I agree. It's not rigged, and the whole notion that the league somehow promised it to the it's all crazy. That's out there, but it is not a good look. And to have a team with a 1.8% chance of winning the lottery, I think the league does have to take another look at this. One thing they could do, and that I've sort of advocated for, is instead of just basing it on last year's record, take it as like a 3-year aggregate. So you get teams like Charlotte that have been bad for a while, or Washington that are bad for a while, and they get a little extra juice because it's clear those are the teams that really need those picks. Whereas a team like Dallas that's been to the finals last year, should they get the number 1 pick the following year? Probably not. So that's something that I think the league should consider.
Sean, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville, Heavy.com, and the coverage you guys will have as the conference finals begin.
Yeah, all the NBA and the off-season stuff and the draft, come check it out.
He's one of our favorites, Sean Devaney, Heavy.com. Sean, I know you're busy. Thank you for the time. We'll talk again soon, man.
Thanks, Ryan.
And thank you to Sean Devaney, Heavy.com, for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark to preview the conference finals in both the East and the West. You got Indiana and New York in the East. You, of course, got Oklahoma City and Minnesota in the West. Certainly not the Final Four teams that a lot of us were expecting when the playoffs began, but here is where we land, and I think two very compelling series that get underway both tomorrow night and Wednesday night. And again, we appreciate Sean Devaney, Heavy.com. He's been one of my NBA guys for years, for joining us here on Hacker After Dark. We did a lot of NBA talk, but certainly we did a lot on the Jacksonville Jaguars as well. The first OTA today, I was down at the Miller Electric Center, had the opportunity to catch up with Eric Murray. Really enjoyed that conversation. And a couple of observations. Look, there's a lot of speed out there. There's going to be a lot of competition on the offensive line, no question about it. So a lot of good work being done in the first OTA. They're on the field the remainder of the week. It's open to the media again next Tuesday. and I'll be down there again for week number 2 of organized team activities. Well, that will just about do it, man. It has been a very, very busy Monday night edition of Hacker After Dark. As always, we certainly appreciate you guys listening to us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, my buddy Sean Devaney, Heavy.com, for talking NBA playoffs with us. Thank you to Graham Hall, 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247, for joining us talking about Gator basketball, a little Gator football recruiting talk, a little Gator baseball talk as well. A lot going on with the University of Florida, and we appreciate Graham for joining us tonight. Rick Seratella of the NFL Draft Bible and AllAccessFootball.com. Stop by. Appreciate Rick spending some time with us. And as we mentioned, Jaguar safety Eric Murray joined the program. Thank you to the Jaguars PR staff for setting that up, and enjoyed my first interaction I've had with Eric Murray, the former Texan, now on the good side here in the AFC South with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, we will be back tomorrow night on a Tuesday, and we will do it all over again beginning at 8 o'clock. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Monday evening with us